Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another kill team video. This time we're doing the second half of the Gallowfall, the Beastmen Ravager kill team, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to paint up one of those very quickly, very easily, with some contrast and a few dry brushes, so you'll be able to get this kill team done on the table very quickly. Before I get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons and anyone else that's supporting me on things like YouTube here. It really does mean the world to me. If you're interested in getting involved with those, there's links to everything below. With things like Patreon, you get access to a private Discord server and access to an extra video every single week. So that's 52 extra videos a year. The video that went up last week was actually on all the extra gubbins for the new Kill Team box set, and this one focused on the little drop pods. So if you're interested in that, check out my Patreon. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, with this particular tutorial, I decided to go for the most basic Fellgor Ravager that there was in the box. This is just a standard warrior carrying an auto pistol and a rudimentary melee weapon, just a club with some barbed wire, very Negan-esque feels to that one. And like I said, I'm going to be going with the same style I usually do, which is the contrast. And we're going to start with Guilliman flesh over all of the skin parts on the miniature. To prepare the miniature, it was built as normal, sprayed black, and then it was given a zenithal spray with a rattle can with Grey Seer. I do have a video on how this is done, so you can look at that somewhere else in the YouTube channel. This tutorial as it stands was a kind of a learning experience for me. There were certain things that I did which didn't really work out, and I will get to them later in the video as I correct my, I think, mistakes. But one of them being what I'm doing now, the gore grunter fur that I used for all of the fur on the gore, I think was the wrong color. I think this color when layered up, or when the skin was layered up, was too similar to the skin. There wasn't enough kind of variation in the tones, and it drove me a little bit more mental. It was like, I just felt it was boring, so I decided to spruce it up a bit. And I'll show you how I did that later on. In fact, I used kind of like a Slapchop method to fix it, so we'll wait for that. Agros Dunes was used for all of the bone parts, so his hooves, his horns, and then all the kind of wrappings and stuff like that to go around his waist and arms and stuff like that. Got done with a quick coat of Agros Dunes. This works great for that kind of like dirty bandage look, and a great base coat for horns and stuff. Wildwoods was used for his belt around his waist, which obviously held the holster for his pistol, which is a holster they managed to get right. The gore is holding a pistol, therefore there is no pistol in his holster. I'm actually getting quite annoyed at the amount of miniatures these days that are being released where he's firing his pistol and has another pistol in his holster. It's a simple, small thing, but I find it quite annoying. From here, we moved over to Blood Angel's red contrast. I decided this guy was going to be more of like a corn gore, dedicated to corn. So I decided to do his little chest armor in red, and the cloth that goes between his legs as red as well. The way these sprues are laid out, there's two sprues that make up the gore, and then there's an extra sprue which basically turns them into a kill team. That to me says that these will be a standard unit later on. They'll be released without the extra sprue to make them a kill team, and you'll just be able to add squads of gore into chaos armies. They've been showing quite a lot in the lore as well recently, so I can see that happening in the near future. So I definitely think that these guys belong in my World Eaters army, so I'm going to be painting them up to match them, and hopefully I'm right with my hunch in the future and they can just get added in there. Lead belch was used for all of the metallic parts, basically just the club, some of the pistol, and all the grenades and stuff that he's hanging from his belt. And then it was time to shade the miniature, so we threw Reichlin flesh shade all over the model. This was a nice color to shade everything down, or so I thought. Gave me the result that I wanted, or so I thought. And you'll see what I mean afterwards. Even as it dried, I was like, okay, yeah, I can work with this. This looks good. Got a little bit of work done on the base. That will just get done off camera. So in another frame or two, you will see the base just completed in the same urban style I do for all of my Chaos armies. So I started with Cadian flesh tone, and I layered up all the musculature on the Beastmen. I didn't jump up to Kislev. I didn't go brighter again because I didn't want it to be too bright. But having said that, even this stage I think was far too bright. It was too clean looking. It wasn't grim dark enough for Beastmen or for the 41st Millennium. And you'll see what I mean in a moment when it jumps to this kind of clean skin look. And it was at this point that I was kind of unsure about myself, but I was like, I'll keep doing a few different colors and see if it helps. So I got some corn red, highlighted up all the red parts of the miniature, his stomach armor, and of course those cloth, his loin cloth. Just a quick, neat job, giving a splash of color to him. I also did the casing on his auto pistol the same as well. I do think miniatures like this do need a splash of color, just to make them a little bit more visually interesting. All right, this is the bit where I decided, you know what, I got to change the fur color. And this is where that kind of slap chop method comes in. So I got some pallid witch flesh and I dry brushed that all over all of the fur parts again. This would then give me a better starting point to throw a fresh contrast over the top of this again and clean it up. Obviously, if you're watching this in retrospect or you're trying to follow this along, you just wouldn't do the Gorgrunta first step. You would just dry brush the pallid witch flesh and then go for rattling grime. I needed a darker color just to differentiate the color of the skin and the color of the fur. Make sure those two bits are very visually different and make the model seem a little bit more interesting. And as you can see, because I've dry brushed the pallid witch flesh, it's giving me a really nice contrast effect. The higher points are nice and bright and all the shadows are going nice and dark. Once I've applied that to all of the fur, we get this result, which I was quite happy with. Mornfang Brown was then brought in to highlight all of the parts of his belt. So anything we did wildwood before, but it's just going to be a little bit of a scratchy highlight. We're not looking for this beautiful kind of brown leather belt. This is a Beastman's equipment. So like I said, a few scratchy highlights, very roughly done, will give you the desired effect. From here, I still decided it was too bright. It was kind of annoying me, but like I said, I continued on. Xandri just up the bandages, but I decided that the skin definitely needs to change. I needed it to just be less bright, less in your face, and maybe lean a little bit more towards that kind of corn gore aesthetic that I like the idea of. To achieve that, I just grabbed some Berserker Bloodshade. This has saved my hide a few times. I just watered it down so it's quite thin and gave all the skin a nice coat of that. This will give you a nice kind of pinky red tone to the skin, which I think is very much more animalistic and more Beastman-like. I definitely think it suited the miniature a lot more than that really bright Caucasian skin. I don't know what I was thinking. I've seen Beastmen painted a million different ways with grey and brown skin. They look amazing. Why I decided to go for the standard Beastman skin, I will never know. Once that was applied, I very much liked the miniature a lot more with the dark fur and the darker skin. I quickly added a highlight with lead belcher on all of the metallic parts. Still wanted to say nice and dark. Like I said, it's more of a scratchy highlight, leaving a lot of that shade behind in the recesses, including the bat and all of the grenades. And there we have it, one completed gore ready to serve. Obviously you would skip a couple of steps now. I know the way I would paint them myself, so when I paint the other 9 members of this, it should be even quicker again. I hope you guys like the result. If you do, let me know in the comments. I'd like to know what you think of my previous attempts. Do you think I went wrong by changing the colors, or whether it was a good idea to change the skin color, or so on and so forth? I'd just like to know what you think about the model. Or would you paint the model entirely different? If you would, I would love to know how you would do it. Like I said, I've got 9 more to do, so I'm very open to suggestions. Okay guys, and there we have it, one Fellgor Ravager painted up and ready to venture through the Gallowdark. Well, before it smashed into a planet, that is. I hope you found it really helpful. This was one of those kind of bizarre painting videos, because if you did 10 of these guys, you could do all of them with different colored skin and all of them with different colored fur, and they would all look awesome. So you can choose whether you want to go for like a mono team where they're all the same color, same fur, maybe they're from the same clan, same family, same whatever, or whether you want to go for a collection of kind of mad, crazed beastmen from loads of different places. That's totally up to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like. If for some crazy reason you haven't already subscribed to my channel, which is about 60 to 66% of the people who watch my videos aren't, please hit that button. It really does make a huge difference in the video. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below. I will get back to each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.